Hey there.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. And yourself?
Not bad. I think it's snowing out.
It's raining down here.
It was raining here, but suddenly my little indicator changed to snow, so I don't know if it's true or not.
It's raining here.
Is it raining? Yeah,
Where,
you're
where are you, Mike?
I'm in the east end of Middletown, Ohio.
Oh, okay. So you guys are up north.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm down here in Milford. And we're sitting on top of the hill here, and it is raining. We're within a couple of degrees, I would say, of it becoming snow, but right now it's rain.
That's that's probably why my indicator changed. We probably just changed to the snow degree.
So, what is your indicator? Does it measure it actually at your spot, or is this something off the internet?
It's off the internet.
Okay.
So it can't be trusted.
Well, it's better than the Les Nessman weather report where he's out there beating on his chest, simulating he's in a helicopter. Les Nessman's weather report.
I remember that. And I thought they could fly. I thought turkeys could
I swear
fly.
to God, I thought turkeys could fly.
Nope.
Oh, the humanity.
Uh, uh, WKRP in Cincinnati.
Uh,
That was actually that was actually national. I don't know if you guys knew it or not, but it was national. It was quite a comedy for a while.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I assumed that it was a um, total made up station, but my understanding is they're now a real WKRP.
Yep. Yep. There is.
But that post dated the sitcom.
Um. When that station? It came out like in the 2000s, I think.
Oh,
I
no.
don't remember
Oh,
when.
the actual station or the
Yeah. The
copy?
actual station, the actual WKRP. I don't know.
I think that the sitcom was back in the '90s, wasn't it?
Uh, yeah, I remember it like yeah,
80s,
80s,
90s.
80s,
Okay.
80s.
At
First
my
episode
age,
first episode was 78 and last episode was 82.
oh really?
Yeah.
It only ran for 4 years?
Uh yeah,
Huh.
4 seasons.
It must have run in syndication then after that because I seem to remember in '78 I wasn't in California,
Yeah.
and I remember it after I was in California. So
Yeah. It was only 4 years apparently, or
hmm,
4 seasons, 4 seasons.
hmm,
And
They had a lot of comedy packed into that 4 seasons. So
yeah.
WKRP. So I got a question for you, Leroy.
The right answers will cost you, right?
Well, yeah, hopefully. Oh, hey, there's Jim.
Yeah,
Where do you move your camera every week? I mean, we're looking up your chin now.
try to. It's unfair to deprive you guys of multiple views of my beauty. Change the angle every
who's
week.
in control of this
Same,
video?
same problem you have.
So the question is, Leroy,
Yes.
have you heard of Docker?
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to install something the other day, and they said I should use Docker to install it. Uh, can you give me a 25 words or less like summary of what Docker is? I started to do the installation and I saw some peculiar things happening and I was concerned that I was hosing my desktop. I'm installing it on Ubuntu, by the way.
Um,
And so I got nervous.
Steve Jones would probably be able to answer this a whole lot better because I have used it a couple of times and I'm not exactly sure if I completely understand it, but it's a container system.
Yeah,
So it when they distribute like a Docker image, it
yeah.
contains everything, all the libraries, everything that it needs, and it's not supposed to interact with your main system. So it's supposed to be uh, sandboxed, I guess. So
Well, so how's that different from a VM?
it's not. It's just a different. It's a different way of doing it. It's like a snap.
Okay, so it is an isolated instance of an operating system.
Or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Dockers are usually apps. Um, so it may be closer to like an app image.
Well, what I was trying to use this for was to install uh, an app that would normally run on Android, and they said that
Yeah.
this site that I was at said you could install it using on Ubuntu
Using Docker.
using Docker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was my objective, was to, because I have some Android apps that I'd like to run on my desktop, is bottom line.
It it it's kind of a virtual machine. It's kind of all those, but it's it's like Snap, it's like um whatever that was, and app image.
Hmm.
It's the new it's one of the new ways to distribute uh Linux files now, because apparently it's complicated to make the Debian install files, and you need all this extra stuff, and one
Hmm.
system may be different than the other system, so you cause problems. And so they put these things in these containers now and distribute them.
So they're relatively safe then?
I would say that they are relatively safe depending upon where you get the source from, and um, as long as you follow the instructions for them. But
Okay.
they're containerized, so they're like in a sandbox. They
Okay.
they're not supposed to. I've never heard of one that has jumped out of the sandbox. And sometimes even getting them to uh save their configuration, you have to do some funky stuff. Like if
Okay.
the app needs some configuration saved, it doesn't save it to your root system or your personal directory. It saves it inside that container.
Well, if you use like VirtualBox,
Yeah.
a VM from I think Oracle owns it now. Uh, that puts that grabs everything, and what you're doing there is running a instance of a operating system inside this VM machine.
Yep.
And the way that gets saved is you just save it,
You
and
just
that
save it. Yeah.
that just saves a big gob of stuff that the next time you bring up VirtualBox, you can fire up and run and so forth and so on. So it makes it relatively simple. I
Yeah.
have tried a couple of times, not very hard, but tried a couple of times to run a version of Android in a VirtualBox,
in VirtualBox, yeah.
and didn't that did not go well. On the other hand, I just gave it a lick and a promise. I didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of these things that I spent a week or 2 weeks on and couldn't get it to go. It was probably I spent a couple hours on and couldn't get it to go.
Right.
So
About 3 years ago, I started installing a Android app on my Windows 7 machine. And I think I spent about 4 or 5 hours, and in the end, it was so unstable I couldn't use it.
but you could get it to run.
I could get it to run.
Interesting. Okay.
And at this point, I don't even remember what it was. Seems to me, I have this vague recollection, it was a Bluetooth connection to something. But again, that was so long ago, I don't really remember the particulars. I wasn't really successful, and that whole operating system and everything is gone now, so I couldn't even look it up if I wanted to.
Well,
I've never had any luck getting Android to install in VirtualBox. So you're not alone there.
okay. Well,
But
maybe I'll go ahead with Docker. I was just,
yeah, you may have better luck with Docker. A lot
I
of
just got nervous. It started tweaking some things that I was not happy with it tweaking, so to speak.
yeah, I actually thought that I had it installed on one of these machines, but when I just went and checked, it's not. I've got Snap installed on them, but I don't have Docker. So I must have been using Docker on one of the laptops.
Okay.
But if I remember right, when you could do like a Docker ls command or something like that, and it would show all the instances that were installed. And
Okay.
they kind of sort of look like drives, but they're not really.
Well, VirtualBox actually sets up drives.
Right.
Sets up it's a virtual drive, I guess you could say, and that's how it stores all
Right.
the stuff that
Yeah.
goes into
Well,
that instance of a VM.
when you look at your file system and it shows the list of drives, there's like some Docker images there, but you can only get to them from within Docker, not from the command line.
Okay.
But it shows them. It shows that they're there. So at least that's my recollection. But I haven't really used Docker much. I've stuck with Snap and App Image.
I'll go ahead and do this installation. I got nervous when it started playing around with some things that I didn't think it should be playing with, and so I just backed off.
Well,
but
you can always put Ubuntu on a VirtualBox and then install Docker and see what it does.
that I could.
Yeah. Well, when it starts asking you your social security number, you log in for your bank account and your password, that does tend to make you nervous.
No, that wasn't the situation here, but it definitely it was doing some things that made me nervous, so I just stopped. But I will go ahead and try that and report in next week. By the way, Leroy, I'm only going to be in the first 40 minutes. I've got to bail in the second because we have an HOA board meeting tonight where we elect new board members. And I have some concerns about the way our HOA is operating. And so I have a slate that I'm supporting. So,
So you're ready to go to this meeting and go, this is what we got to do.
well, I don't know. It turns out that you don't actually vote for them in the meeting. It turns out what happens is the meeting is an opportunity for each of them to do a 2-minute, what I would call elevator speech, basically a pitch of their platform, so to speak. And then based on that information, I think we go through some kind of an email process to do our actual voting. But we'll see. This is my first experience with an HOA. We don't. My house in California is not in an HOA, so um, but the house here is, and since I spend about, I don't know, $1,100-$1,200 a year on this damn HOA, I
You might,
figure I gotta
you might as
vote.
well,
Might as well vote.
might as well tell them what you think.
Yeah.
We had an experience with my wife's parents. Their condo was part of an HOA. And when we started looking at the charges and all of that, we said, well, we need to replace the board members and representatives. And it wasn't something that she and I had signed on to, but her parents had. Well, it turns out the HOA was the sole propriety of the people who were doing the land development. They were the only ones that were on it and the only ones that had voting rights. So they could charge whatever they wanted and send out snowplow removal or grass mowing or whatever was happening on the outside of the house to whomever they wanted at whatever price. And the actual homeowners didn't have a single word to say or couldn't.
Well, that was in a condo situation though, right?
Yes, but it was a crooked thing to call it a homeowners association because
Yeah.
it was a developer's boondoggle is what it was.
Well, this development has, I don't know, a little bit south of 200, and these are standalone individual homes and so forth and so on. And they establish certain rules of the road, so to speak, like what you can do with putting up external buildings and what you can do, and certain sort of hygiene rules about getting your grass mowed and snow removed and so forth and so on. But I think the only snow removal they do is they do the streets, but your driveway and your sidewalk and so forth is your responsibility.
You know, we joked that the homeowners association in Kentucky regulated the number of junk cars you could have in the front yard.
Okay.
Your shirt, Mike.
What's that?
I like your shirt. I may have to take some Dramamine in a minute, but it's okay.
My daughter started out with a black T-shirt and ended up to turn it into this with a variety of colors and stuff. I'm not certain how she was able to do it. I looked for my purple heart-shaped glasses, but I couldn't find them.
It's interesting that the base is black.
Yeah,
And you were able to put those bright colors over it.
yeah. I'm not certain how she approached it or what she was able to do, but I thought it turned out pretty nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
This reminds me of the tie-dye from the 60s. I remember tie-dyeing t-shirts then.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it's supposed to remind you of.
For those of us who remember the 60s, okay.
Yes. Well, I'm deeply rooted in the 60s, so I don't have a problem with that.
Well, some people who are deeply rooted in the 60s still
Don't
have a
remember.
problem remembering what happened. Oh,
Well,
there's Kenny.
switching gears entirely. Uh, this is just my opinion, not necessarily a reflection of anybody else's, but next time I go to jail, I'm going to claim that I have to have a strict organic diet.
There you go.
Okay.
You know what I'm referring to.
I mean,
Okay. The guy with the buffalo horns and the furry jacket
Uh,
when did the invasion on the Capitol. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
saying he's a shaman, and as a shaman, he must follow a strict organic diet, and that the prison wasn't providing that for him, so he sued to get a strict organic diet.
Well,
And
okay.
he won.
that's good to know. Something I might, maybe Kenny and I might need to know.
oh, are you planning on attacking the Capitol there, Jim?
No, you have to be ready. You never know.
That's true.
No, I think the DMV is probably the highest target I would aim for.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck
Yes.
to them. Good luck getting in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the one in California was bad, but actually it's BMV in Ohio is uh, going for a record, I think. They're they must have a special hiring criteria that they have psychiatrists examine the person and say, all right.
What was that cartoon movie where all of the people that worked at the DMV were Slavs?
I must have missed that one.
Oh, it was like Zootopia or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. They were all sloth, moving their own pace,
Yes.
taking care of things
Oh.
when they needed to, or when they wanted to, not when you needed them to.
Oh, so these were cartoon.
Cartoons, yeah.
A full length
And-
feature film that was animated.
Yeah, it was
Oh, cool.
it was an animated deal.
So who was this, Pixar or
I want to say it was Disney that did it,
Disney?
but well, Disney, Pixar, but I don't
Well,
really
Disney,
remember. Yeah.
Disney owned Pixar.
Yeah.
The reason that I remember that is when Steve Jobs died, his widow, as part of his estate, got 7% of Disney.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's hard to imagine. I mean,
You're
So how did that work? Did somebody have to buy the stocks for her?
no, Steve owned the stock.
He owned the stock.
Yeah, he got that stock when he sold Pixar to Disney.
Ah.
See, what happened was originally he was doing this digital animation thing, and apparently he got, I don't know all the details, but apparently he got Disney to buy into it. Well, that makes obvious sense because Disney really started out as a cartoon. That was Walt Disney's original claim to fame, that he was a cartoonist. And of course, they've evolved since then into Disney World and Disneyland and so forth and so on. But at any rate, bottom line is he got Disney to invest in it. And when he died, apparently his interest in Pixar converted, and I don't know all the legal details, but converted into 7% of Disney at that time, which has appreciated, I don't know, a factor of 5 or whatever. In the meantime, he died in the fall of 2011. So it's appreciated quite substantially. And as I understand it, she's busy trying to spend it all.
Well, that's good.
Well, the first feature film was Steamboat Willie.
Oh, you're talking about Disney's first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Walt Disney's first cartoon was Steamboat Willie.
Yep.
So, Leroy, what do you know about Adobe Flasher Player?
I know it's going away soon, if it hasn't already gone away.
It went away last month.
Okay.
So what took its place?
HTML5. Adobe Flash. I mean, that was back, start of the internet. It served a purpose, but has long outgrown, the internet has long outgrown that purpose.
Well, and Adobe Flash had not progressed either. That's the other half of the story.
Yeah. You're right. It had been stagnant for quite some time. And, HTML5 came about a couple years ago and just kind of trounced all over it.
About 7 or 8 years ago, first released, I believe.
Yeah. I think it really took off a couple of years ago, though, where you started to see websites actually using it.
Bottom line is there's no need for Adobe Flash anymore.
Yeah. It served its purpose back in the day, but you don't need it. And
well, I got notified that it's no longer available and they're not going to support it, and I should go to another Adobe thing.
Yeah, you don't need it, and most websites nowadays, I forget exactly. I read the stats on it not too long ago, but I think it was less than 1% of websites actually still use Adobe Flash. So, all the modern web browsers have long abandoned Flash long ago.
So what is it? Was it photos or pictures? Was it supported or what?
Well, your Flash player, like, you could play games in there. You could run apps. It was actually a pretty sophisticated program back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't, there are better ways to do it now. And you don't need proprietary stuff to do it anymore. You can just.
Yep. There were a lot of animations, I think, early on that were running Flash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And HTML5 can do probably 99%, if not more, just natively, just with a couple of lines of code.
Yeah.
So you don't need to download a whole program to do animations. You just
so I can just kind of ignore it from now on.
Pretty much, like I said, I read a thing that was, probably less than 1% of websites still actually use Flash, and you will probably never ever run into those websites. They're old websites. So
Used to be what would happen is something would pop up and say, you have to install the latest version of Flash. And so you do the installation and then whatever it was would run. But I haven't had one of those prompts for several years.
Chrome, Firefox, Mozilla, they've pretty much gave up on Flash like 5 or 6 years ago.
Opera.
I don't think Chrome has supported Flash in a very long time. But I found out about your t-shirt.
Oh, what did you find out?
It's called reverse tie-dye. They use various color techniques, but they bleached the shirt, and you bleach the shirt for a certain amount of time and bleach out colors to leave color.
That explains.
I don't have to wear it while it's being done, so it doesn't matter to me.
That's true. but apparently you can if you time it right, you can get all kinds of neat colors to come out. So.
Yeah. She's pretty talented about that.
Yeah.
Well, I got a vaccination for COVID last night.
Ooh.
Fantastic. Number one or number two?
First one, they changed the criteria at midnight on Sunday night, early Monday morning. We logged in at about 3 minutes after 12 on Monday, and within that 3 minutes, everything within Butler and Warren County was gone on Monday and Tuesday. We ended up with a 6:45 appointment on Wednesday. And my wife went to help a friend of ours, see if we could find him a site. And at 2:00 on Monday, everything was gone. There wasn't anything within the two counties.
So what site did you go to? Where did you actually physically go to get the injection?
I went to a CVS.
Okay.
I was on the queue for the VA, but I don't know where I was in that queue. They didn't publish any numbers or estimates of when that was going to occur or anything. The site that we were on, we went through the Ohio Department of Health, and it allowed us to put up what counties we were interested in, further refined that by zip code, and then it presented a map with all of the sites that were capable of delivering the vaccination. And you could mouse over that site and select that to go in and fill in your information. It was really very well set up. Didn't take any backward double flips or anything like that to get on the list.
So this is the Ohio Department of Health?
Yes.
Okay. So you obviously knew this was going to happen.
What, that I was going to get a vaccination?
No, that things were going to flip over at 12 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Monday.
We had been following. It had been 75 and older, and we knew that there was going to be a change age 70 and above there at the first. So, yeah, we anticipated that and got on the site just, as I said, 3 minutes after 12. What surprised me is that there were a hell of a lot of them already gone. 2.5 days or 3 days worth in the 3 minutes. And the site didn't crash on us.
Well, very good. Well, we're still searching. So
Okay.
unfortunately, we have the complication of we are not officially, in spite of the fact I own property here and pay taxes here, we're not officially residents of the state of Ohio. So
They didn't ask us a thing about that. All they asked was my Medicaid, Medicare number and my age.
really,
Yeah, and when we went there, uh, Julie and I were both surprised. They didn't ask for a single item of ID. I went in with my little printout schedule and said, "That's me right there at 6:45." And they said, "Okay." Filled out a card, and that was it. That was the last time anybody asked me anything. Went around, got the injection, and the guy did comment that I had tough skin, but that's about it. Julie said they, just like you see on TV, it was a long ass needle too.
Well, you know, Art, if you've been in the state of Ohio for 6 months, you got to claim it as your state.
well, that's fine, except that all of my income is earned in California. So
You got a residence here. You probably got a car here.
yeah, but I have a residence in California also and a car there. And I've been a resident there for 41 years at this point. So,
Well, I guess it comes down to which are your states that your wives live in.
well, I only have one. And
You keep telling them that. You keep telling them that.
yeah, I only have one at this point. My ex lives in Florida, or so I've been told by my daughter. But no, now we've only been here 4 months. So I am hoping to be able to get back to California before the 6 months, but we'll see. My wife is very pessimistic about that.
So, Leroy, I I had a little situation with the computer, and it upgraded my computer to Windows 10.
Okay.
I was on Windows 10 to begin with, so I said, So I got out one of my old CDs that I had bought online, and it's from a show that was on television called Dead Like Me. Okay.
Okay.
I bought it legitimately. Okay. And I went to play it, and it won't play. It comes up with an error code OX87E10BC6. So, doing a little investigating work, it said that go to Microsoft and buy a program to play it. I went to Microsoft to play it, okay, and you could buy something or you could get something free. And that's when I stopped.
And that's when
We're at 31 seconds, Leroy.
yeah. It's a DVD you're trying to play?
Yes.
Download VLC player.
VLC player.
Yep. Victor Lumo something Charlie.
Okay.
That should fix the problem. I'll start the
Okay.
meeting. I'll restart the meeting. Bye.